climbing section. What's the current rules on anchors in the Sasja and as well as in Indian Creek or just top protection of the top of climbers?
I'm not a climber, so you're gonna have to.
So under slide 12, I think that I was referred to yesterday, common to all in the Shastra unit, allows for climbing, does not allow for permanent hardware or bolts. The last bullet. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah. And I just bring that up. I'm not a super avid climber. I do quite a bit. But I wonder, there's just in the climbing world, there's some best practices as far as, camouflaging is what the gal mentioned yesterday, and just balancing safety of that recreational activity. I wonder if there may be some softer language there that could be used, or some consideration to be able to anchor where it's the best practice rather than absolutely not, and we risk human life. I'm not necessarily making. I would make a motion if it's completely not allowed anywhere in the Sasha unit. I would make a motion to allow it where it's best practice.
So they can't place, what this says is they can't leave the permanent hardware there?
They can't count bolts.
Right, that's what I'm saying. At the top of a climb, if you're using, cams or climbing gear for protection that you remove as you go, typically the best practice is at the top. Anchor it if it's a popular route for a number of reasons. Then it's less wear and tear. It's better for the next climber. This is not a new thing. But anyway, I would make a motion that we allow for permanent anchors where best practice would allow.
Would it be better to say, just to add that, I'm sorry to interject here,
Please.
but to go ahead and allow fixed anchors, like bolts, but maybe not have chains, and don't leave your webbing, because some of that webbing is pretty colorful.
No, I agree.
And also it's a safety issue, because somebody comes up that ready webbing rods, I'm sorry, I can't talk, with time in the sunlight, and it's a safety issue for a climber to come up and clip into that, and then have a rotten, something that they're trying to repel off of and come apart. So maybe add that, maybe something along those lines to help that. I'm just trying to help think this along for you guys. I don't know.
I think the language in that, wasn't very clear. I think they just meant up the route.
Right.
But they'd always have an anchor at the top.
And that's what I'm trying to
Otherwise,
make.
they can't.
Right. So I like that they have to remove their gear as they go, but I do think it's best practice to be able to allow them to anchor at the top, and not leaving change would be fine, but those anchors are actually important. And I would like to see that allowed in the unit.
We can clarify that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's along the same lines. I mean, with the chains and webbing, you can see where it blows in the wind. It'll just wear the rock out. They'll use natural anchors on top. People who are playing, it'll soft through the rock. So you have bolts on top. You can paint them, hide them, kind of keep them out of sight from lower. It is the safest practice.
Ready? You down there?
Several years ago, I attended a meeting where the Park Service was planning to expand the Canyonlands National Park into what is now the Indian Creek unit of the Bears Ears. And during a public meeting, there was an elderly gentleman who came in to talk to us through an interpreter. And he said that pounding things into the canyon walls was an affront to his religious beliefs and the spirituality of the location. I haven't seen any of that in the materials available to us to review, and I was curious to know whether there were any public comments about that, and if so, how they were dealt with in the plan.
I don't recall, do you recall any comments like that?
I don't remember seeing any comments like that, Lee.
Okay.
I don't.
Scoot?
I'll wait till we're off the topic of climbing acres, but I want to comment on.
I know we have climbing arches. Some people don't like climbing on the arches or natural bridges because there's some cultural significance. But I didn't hear or see anything about pounding anything into the rock.
Go ahead, Scoot.
Okay. I also want to address some of the wording on target shooting. It says no prohibited, so this is for both Indian Creek and Shawshja. It says no shooting near cliffs. It goes into quite a few things. Some of this is fine, you know. Obviously, you can't shoot stuff that's going to be natural and geological features, things like that. Saying not being able to shoot near cliffs. There's cliffs everywhere. Near it's a word that people can interpret different ways. And also within WSAs, it's not. I don't know if there's a perception that it's like John Wick out there, but this is. We want to keep that open. Target shooting. But there may be issues that you see with target shooting, but around here in some of those remote areas, I don't see that. But with people out that want to just shoot a little bit, for the most part, are very respectful and safe with other people and are not going to.
Yeah, I think there's some, there's some language in here that's okay, but why did you include shooting within WSA? That's not it. You're treating that as if it's wilderness. You can hunt in wilderness, you can do a lot, you can shoot. Why would you ban that?
But did you say why would you prohibit it? Is that,
And then, what's that?
did your comment, why would you prohibit it? Is that
Yeah, why would you? Yeah. And then, like you say, the whole country's cliffs in a lot of these areas. And I think there are some special sites and some recreational areas that, yeah, that ought to be prohibited, but not so broad.
Right.
Gordon and then Ed.
So we're running out of time, but on the target shooting point, I think I would move that we, rather than come up with the exact language here, I would move that we recommend clarifying the language on where target shooting is allowed and expanding that alternative.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Second.
We have a second by Ryan. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's just one of the bullet points within recreation. Ed?
I only have one point of clarification on WSAs, and that is that we have to manage them so that we don't preclude the Congress's opportunity to weigh in on their wilderness territory. And so sometimes we are more restrictive in the WSA.
Yeah.
Because Congress can make it clear that recreational shooting is allowed there. So I don't know if that was behind having listing WSAs there.
Well,
we have that allegation.
If you hold a television set out there and shot it within the WSA, that's one thing. But if you're just out there, shooting, maybe a piece of wood or put a target up that you're going to take, I don't know why that would be prohibited, but that's hard to manage.
I think clarifying the language is.
Yeah.
I think clarifying.
Yes.
I'm going to ask one more thing because I know that Jared had brought forward the recommendation that we clarify the language on flexibility for the permanent anchors at the top. And I'm not sure we did a quick consensus on that, so we can make sure we carry that forward. Bruce, do you want to lead the group through that really quickly?
Sure, do we?
I can make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that on that bullet point, that in the management plan, that top anchors are allowed with the specification they're camouflaged, and that the webbing and chains are removed.
We have a second.
I'll say that.
Second by Dustin. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?